about problems with self-diagnosis. So like I was saying, just to reiterate, it is very much to do with language. Now you might say, oh, well, what's the issue then if it's just a question of a slight change in words? You know, why is that an issue? But language matters because language carries meaning, and changing the wording very, very slightly, it might be subtle, but it can have massive ramifications because you're sending out a signal. You know, language signifies. It signposts you to some meaning, doesn't it? And it has very different kind of consequences. People self-diagnosing autism is just irresponsible. It sends out a message that autism isn't a medical condition. It doesn't require expertise to diagnose it. And I do notice there's this very troubling trend in society. I blame postmodernism. It's a sort of postmodern condition. It's what I learned about when I was at university, and at the time I didn't really take it seriously, but I have actually seen this a lot now, and I see it's happening, and it's just not a very good trend at all, where people, where increasingly we're seeing, how can I put it? The dethronement of the expert, I think it's called, where, in other words, anyone can claim the authority to have expertise on any subject, regardless of whether or not they've actually educated themselves in that subject. And by educated, I mean, you know, actually, well, what I mean is that people are taking upon themselves the authority which really is not theirs to have, in the name of democracy or pluralism. Now, obviously, you know, I support democracy and pluralism, all things in moderation, but when this trend is taken too far, what you have is the dethronement of expertise, and consequently everything gets reduced to the lowest common denominator, and you no longer have specialisms. That's ultimately what postmodernism is about. And with that comes a lessening of standards and a general kind of reduction in quality, and an increase in just, yeah, it's a blurring of boundaries, really. And as I said in my previous video I did last week, even psychiatrists who've been to medical school and everything cannot self-diagnose themselves, because self-diagnosis is extremely fallible. You know, you need to have that outside person to be able to see you in a way that you can't see yourself. You know, it is well known psychologically that people are not very good at describing their own qualities. Who will say, you know, people can think all sorts of things about themselves, but ultimately, whether we like it or not, we live in society, and it takes a second or a third person to shine a light on who you are. And it's particularly true for medical diagnoses. So as I said in my previous video, anyone who thinks they might be autistic needs to have support, they need to have understanding, and they need to be treated as if they might be autistic. But at the same time, they cannot 100% know whether or not they're autistic until they have that official diagnosis. I really don't see what the problem is with someone simply thinking they might have something, but accepting that they can't be sure. What is the problem with that? Why do people find that so problematic? Why can't we accept that element of uncertainty? After all, like I said, if they think they might have it, they can apply. There's nothing stopping them from reading a book about autism and applying the strategies and living as if they might have that condition. They can still kind of feel good about themselves. They can still think, okay, so I might have this condition. This might explain why I am the way I am. There might be other explanations, but this could be one of them. You know, that's good. I can feel good about myself, but I can't say I have it until it's been officially assessed. So we'll just have to leave that hanging, and maybe they won't go for an assessment, maybe one day they will, but they can't actually claim for label, for diagnosis, until they've had that verified. All they can do is simply say that they might have it. And that should be good enough, really, until it's been confirmed. So I really don't see what the problem is. That is not self-diagnosis. Self-diagnosis is when you make that subtle but crucial leap from saying might to saying I have, before you've had it confirmed. And that, to me, is definitely dishonest, because you've jumped the gun. And the other thing is that, what if you're wrong? Because if you say you might have something, you're leaving the door open to the possibility that you're wrong, but you're not kind of getting all defensive about that possibility. Instead, you're saying, okay, so I might be wrong, but that's not going to be catastrophic. If I happen to be wrong, there might be other explanations. We can look at it. You know, I think sometimes people worry that if they're wrong, maybe that it means something really bad about their character or something, but we must get away from that idea. Just because someone isn't autistic but might have similar struggles, that doesn't mean that their struggles shine a bad light on them as a person, because they still got struggles, and it might be caused by something else, some other neurological condition or something. So it doesn't mean that they're a bad person or anything just because it turns out they're not autistic. We must get away from that. So, you know, what I'm saying is, allowing for the possibility that they're wrong means that if they do turn out to be wrong, it's not going to be catastrophic for them, and they will be able to accept it and move on. You know, obviously you can ask for second and even third opinions anyway, so if they really, really do feel that the doctors aren't getting them, they do still have that right of going and asking for a second or third opinion, you know. One clinician's verdict doesn't have to be sacrosanct. They can go and get another opinion anyway. But, you know, if they keep going to doctors, you keep on telling them, no, you're not autistic, you know, if they've already accepted that the possibility that it might not be correct, they're not going to take that to heart quite so much, and then they'll look at other possibilities, because there could be another explanation, maybe ADHD, something else, some mental health condition, whatever, that they might have. But if they're saying they categorically are autistic, and that's their self-diagnosis, and they've just taken it in upon themselves and really kind of come to embody or live that label that they've given to themselves. If they do turn out to be wrong, maybe they'll never go and get an assessment anyway, so they'll never find out. But if they do later find out they're wrong, or maybe in themselves they later think, actually, hang on, maybe I'm not quite correct, that could actually be really cognitively disconcerting, and that could result in a great deal of psychological conflict, and this could actually make them mentally ill. So there are actually personal dangers as well to self-diagnosis. Okay, so I'm going to finish here, but thank you for watching.